Hi, my name is Sinopa, and I'm a Sombra one-trick and low masters. This is a guide for Sombra. She's been recently reworked in Season 7, and I wanted to wait until I had a really good grasp on her new playstyle before putting something like this together. I want to clarify that this is a guide towards helping new players from bronze to plat to get better at her, and although it can also help people new to Sombra, I probably can't help all that much if you're already masters or above because you're probably already doing all these tips and tricks. I also want to clarify that I'm neither good at editing videos nor have the patience for it, so this video won't be super fancy at the end, sorry. I do stream at twitch.tv/signup_OW and offer free VOD reviews if you need more precise help than I can offer in a generalized video like this. I'll put that link in the description as well. With that, let's get into our tips. Everyone hates a good Sombra player, and yes, that includes your own team. The first and most important tip that I can give is to have a thick skin, and not let people tilt you because you're playing Sombra. I have played her a lot, and I have received a lot of mean comments, both from teammates and from enemies, regardless of whether I was doing well or poorly, and chances are you're going to receive a lot of those too. Tilting based on what your teammates or enemies think of you is the roughest thing you can do to your own play, and even if you think it doesn't make you play worse, I promise you it does. This is why those really good Sombra players tend to have cool heads, because you'll get a lot of people mad at you no matter how you play her. A lot of the time they'll point out how much damage you have, but honestly, even in games where I get 50 kills, I still usually have way less damage than my teammates. This is just how Sombra plays. Don't worry about damage numbers. Your damage is lower because you as Sombra do more efficient damage to lower HP targets, where those high damage numbers typically come from shooting at the tank, which you should rarely do. I wanted to get that out of the way first because it's so important, but now I can focus a little more on the actual gameplay. Sombra, as you probably know by now, has a number of abilities around which her kit is based. She has an SMG that shoots 8 damage per bullet, a hack which locks enemy abilities for 1.5 seconds and reveals them through walls for teammates for 8 seconds, a translocator, which is like a delayed Genji dash that cleanses any buffs on you, and I believe it's 25 meters. I know it's 0.25 seconds before it activates. She also has a virus, which does 10 impact damage on hit, 20 if the enemy is hacked, and 100 damage over 4 seconds or 2 seconds if they're hacked. And her ultimate is an EMP, which does 25% of the enemy's current health, locks abilities for 3 seconds, and reveals through walls for 8 seconds. And it can hit multiple enemies, unlike her normal hack. She also has a stealth passive, which I believe gives her 45% extra movement speed and renders her invisible. It activates after 3 seconds out of combat, with a brief pause before she is truly considered out of combat, so it ends up being closer to 5 seconds in practice. And it pauses the timer upon contesting the point. It lasts until doing an action that causes you to be considered in combat, such as hacking or shooting a target, but will not break upon hacking inanimate objects. While of course good mechanical skill won't hurt your case, Sombra is a character whose ability to play smart is far more important than your ability to aim well. So even if you're still improving your aim, this guide should definitely still help you. Generally speaking, you want to take fights at mid-range where her gun is most effective while still allowing you lots of room to get away. You need to always plan a route in your mind to where you want to be able to escape to before you use your translocator, and you should always fight enemies either when they are isolated or the rest of the team is focused on the fight against your team so that they can't peel, which means to come back to help your target fight against you. As you get higher in the ranks, enemies will peel more, and that's why it's incredibly important to choose your battles wisely. Because it's so good to take isolated targets over targets in a team, you want to put a focus on spawn camping. I know it's super mean and petty, but I promise you it wins games. Most of the time, it's better to lock 1 or 2 enemies out of the team fight than to go back and help your team yourself, especially when you can distract or spawn camp a support or a tank, or any kind of high damage DPS, which, let's face it, is almost any DPS character other than Sombra. With the addition of Virus, Sombra has an extra edge in these situations, allowing her to pick a character to lock out of the fight repeatedly. There are a few characters that are easier to spawn camp than others, largely dependent on their ability to fend Sombra off in a 1v1. And I'll be honest, even if you get really good at Sombra, you'll still lose some of these 1v1s, and sometimes it'll be embarrassing. Things happen. Just make sure that if they teabag you, you teabag them back when you kill them. It's very important. The easier characters to spawn camp are usually characters with low mobility or defensive techniques, so characters like Zen, Widow, or under about gold or so, Hanzo, although the higher you get, the more dangerous a 1v1 against a Hanzo can be. Sombra counters, on the other hand, are characters with one-shot potential or very high burst damage output who can kill her before she can get away, like a good Hanzo or a Cassidy. It's also very difficult to secure the kill on anyone who is receiving any kind of healing, even if just an ERE pylon or a Zen orb. Those can still save an enemy from you if you aren't hitting every shot. Counters still include anyone who can hinder her movement or stun her, like Cassidy or Mauga, and she in turn counters characters who rely too much on their abilities rather than their primary fires, such as Ball or Doom or pretty much most tanks. Even if you aren't securing the kill on a spawn camp, there's value in wasting their time or forcing another teammate to come back to escort them back to the team. Remember, you can get back to the team fight if need be much faster than pretty much anyone in the game, with the exception of maybe a Ball. I put so much emphasis on spawn camping because it really is what Sombra's best at, and it provides a ton of value to your team while also tilting the enemies, which, alongside being very funny, also tends to make them play worse, whether it's the person being spawn camped or their teammates getting mad at them for being unable to leave spawn safely. If you aren't spawn camping and are instead participating in the team fight, you should always target the supports first, typically whomever has the highest healing output or importance in the fight, or whoever will be the easiest to secure the first kill on. This means usually Ana, Mercy, or Zen should be your first targets, depending on the situation, or characters that you see have already used their defensive abilities, such as a Moira without Fade or a Kiriko who has already used Suzu. It's tempting to always try to hack the tank, but most of the time it's more important to put pressure on the backline, especially in lower ranks where peel is less common. You can also oftentimes get a sneaky kill on targets who are AFK or busy typing, but be careful doing something like this around the rest of the enemy team. You'll need a solid escape plan to get out safely. This is something I still struggle with, and I have played a ton of Sombra. It's hard not to get greedy for a pick, especially if it'll help your team win the fight, but you need to be patient. Remember, stealth lasts indefinitely, and if you can pick the perfect time to make your play, you should. You don't need to rush in unnecessarily, even if it feels like you're not doing anything. When you engage on a target, something I see in a lot of VOD reviews of Sombra and Silver or Gold is that they will hack entirely too much. Generally speaking, you want to hack to deny character abilities that will allow them to escape, such as Winston Jumper Bubble, Sombra Translocator, Tracer's Whole Kit, and other similar things, and even then there are many times where you'll want to bait out the ability rather than hack it. I'll go into these in more depth on a case-by-case basis in the character section where I go over 1v1s against each hero, but as a general rule of thumb, you're probably hacking too much. Hacking doesn't do any damage, only just barely increases the damage that Virus does, and gives the enemy more time to turn around and react to you. You instead want to begin engagements, usually by just throwing Virus and shooting from behind or to the side of targets, unless they have an ability that will allow them to live or to kill you. This isn't always the case, just a good rule of thumb. Forcing them to react by turning their crosshair behind them will give you the advantage of surprise, as well as forcing them to turn away from whatever it is that they're currently focused on. If it's a support, the distraction of disturbance and healing may mean that your team is able to secure a kill which they otherwise may not have, and the damage you secure by having the opportunity to shoot more means that you'll do more damage overall than you would have if you had hacked instead of just throwing your Virus. Sometimes Virus is hard to hit, so if you'd miss, don't worry. You can go out through your escape route and wait for it to come off cooldown, at which point you can try again until you get it. Rinse and repeat. Remember, you don't have to get the kill, just force cooldowns and distractions. The most important thing is that you live. Also, if you have to reload, it's usually better to disengage entirely until you can come back with all of your abilities and a full gun. If you get low health in a 1v1, it may be worth it to translocate to the other side of the enemy so that you can force them to reset their crosshair on you while you finish them off. I can't think of much more to add as a general how-to, so I'll get down now to some of the more specific character tips. Whether you should virus or hack really depends on quite a few things, so I'll just run through the basics of a 1v1 against each character. Just know that it's not the ultimate answer for every scenario. Mauga. As of writing this script, Mauga is just about to release and hasn't yet, but he was available for about 2 days, during which I was able to play against him quite a bit. These are subject to change on his release since he's already been buffed since the free weekend with him, but here's what I've got so far. Hack doesn't really deny Mauga anything, and Hack doesn't cancel his charge, if I remember correctly. On top of that, Mauga's ult denies Sombra use of her translocator, so in general you should avoid 1v1s against Mauga because with his healing, even with his big head-to-hit box, you'll never kill him alone. If you have to fight him, your best bet is to make use of his big head and burn him down as fast as you can. Also, be very careful to avoid his ult, because if you step in it, it'll stop you from using any of your abilities except for Hack, which is very easy for the enemy team to cancel by shooting you. However, EMP will clear out his ult, so if your team gets caught in it, it's worth saving EMP to use to cancel out his ult and save your teammates. D.Va. Sombra and D.Va somewhat counter each other. You shouldn't really take 1v1s against her unless you're camping a health pack, but be wary that she can easily chase you when you're low health and is very good at peeling for her teammates and denying you kills that you would have gotten without her defense matrix. On the other hand, you can hack her to deny the defense matrix at critical points or to deny her boosters, and hack is one of the best tools in the game for denying her a remech, which you should always keep your eye out for after she loses her mech or uses her ult. If you time it just right, you can also dodge her bomb with a good translocator, but it takes a lot of practice to know just when to throw it, since it has invincibility frames for a fraction of a second. Hacking her while she's defense matrixing a low health ally can secure a kill, or if your team is about to use ults, it can stop her from eating them. Doomfist. Sombra is one of Doom's best counters, but it can still be hard to play into a really good Doom. Essentially what you want to do is wait to hack him until he uses his block ability, at which point he will just die with enough focus on him. Also keep in mind that Virus works despite block with its regular damage, so if you can't hack him for whatever reason, you can also Virus to finish him off if he's very low health. If he isn't getting low enough to use his block, you can hack him after he engages to try to force him to disengage again quickly, which could help save your supports. Generally, you'll want to play with or behind your team so that you'll be able to secure hacks on him safely and make his life hell. Junker Queen. The only thing that Sombra can really deny Junker Queen is her ult. If you know it's coming up, then you can translocate over her onto high ground or in general somewhere you won't get shot to land a hack on her while she's charging it up. Try not to play within your team, because she'll likely hit you with it if she lands it. As for the rest of her kit, try to play in mid-range, where she's less effective, but you can still do a decent amount of damage on her. Her shout has the potential to save her teammates with the overhealth and speed boost, so be careful about diving a target with her nearby. And if you play in mid-range, you'll have an easier time dodging her knife. Your translocator also cleanses the bleed effect from her abilities, so don't be afraid to use it if you need to. Orisa. The best thing you can do against Orisa is to hack her during her spinning emotion. Be careful not to get Javelin, or she can secure a kill on you fairly easily, but if you hack her in the spinning spear, it can make it easier for your team to burn her down, or at least make her expend her cooldowns faster than she would like, giving you a window of opportunity in which you can kill her, especially with an anti-heal. Always be careful to avoid when she runs directly into your team, as she's likely going to ult. Her ult does a small amount of damage within the circle, so it denies you a hack on her from within it. Instead, try to keep out of that range when she presses forward so that you can hack her from outside of it and save any teammates caught within. Ramatra. It's best to hack Ramatra during his block and Nemesis form, making him vulnerable for a small portion of his Nemesis form cooldown. Beyond that, your hack doesn't really deny him anything. Hack and EMP don't cancel his ult, and even if they did, his ult's range is only slightly smaller than Hack, which makes it very difficult to secure a hack on him during it. Just be sure to play out of range of his punches and you'll be golden. Neither of them are counters to the other, really, so all you can really do is shoot him. If he's causing a big problem, it would be better to play someone else. Reinhardt. Sombra absolutely bullies Reinhardt. Hacking him when he's engaging in your team or tries to charge denies him an escape, and at that point he dies most of the time. Hack has a slightly longer cast time than Shatter, however, so if you're trying to cancel it, you have to see it coming and start your hack first. You can't rehack after the initial hack until the reveal through walls has ended, so it's very important that you time it correctly. It's pretty easy to land a hack on him by going behind or translocating over his head, and it's rare to see a Rein that will react fast enough to stop you until you get in higher ranks. Just play outside of his melee range and you'll bully him for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and be careful of him charging you after you translocate. Roadhog. Hog is a pretty decent counter to Sombra. After his recent rework, her hack no longer denies him heal, and his hook and pigpen are pretty brutal to play against. She can't cancel his ult, so while she used to be a hog counter, it's now the other way around. Try to play a bit further away, so it's harder for him to land his primary fire, and try to bait out hook before engaging with him. Never take him on in a 1v1. The best thing you can do is to hack to force him not to heal for a bit when he gets to low health, but it doesn't really do much to him. You should also try to bait hook with your translocator. Most hogs will try to hook you immediately when they see you, so if you translocate right away, you should be fine. Remember, play as though your enemies will hit every shot, because if you depend on them to miss, you'll be screwed when they inevitably don't. Sigma. Sombra is probably the best Sigma counter out there. Her hack will cancel any of his abilities, including his shield, even when it's already been cast. Just be careful not to play close enough for his rock to hit you easily, or he might combo kill you before you have the chance to do anything. Generally, you want to either hack or lower his shield to make space for your team, or wait until he uses his suck ability to hack so that he doesn't get extra health and instead just dies. Keep in mind when you know he has his ult to be able to hack him out of it. Good Sigmas will wait until you hack to ult, but if you notice him doing this, you can save EMP until then to get a rehack, which will still cancel his ult. Winston. Winston is a pretty decent counter to Sombra. She has a hard time hacking him without him just throwing down his bubble, and when she translocates away, he's one of the easiest tanks to catch up to her and just kill her on. That being said, in teamfights it can be easy to dump a ton of damage into him with his big hitbox. Your hack doesn't deny him ult, but it can also make him less mobile during his ult, allowing your team to force him to disengage or die. You can also hack him as he gets low health, denying him the ability to use his ult completely, since many Winstons use it as a second health bar when they get very low. Against him, try to peel for your supports and you'll be fine. Wrecking Ball. Sombra is notoriously one of the best ball counters. Against bad balls, she can pretty much hack him on cooldown and make his life a living hell. Against good balls, you'll have to play a little smarter. Play a bit further back from in behind your team so that when he crashes in, he doesn't hit you, and then hack him to deny him an escape. You can also hack him as he flies into the air, and if you time it right, you can cancel his ult by looking out for that. If nothing else, you just keep hacking him on cooldown to force him disengage quickly and make his job as a disruptor more difficult. Even if you don't secure the kill on him, sometimes the best thing to do is just force him out of the fight repeatedly. Zarya. Zarya is one of the better tanks against Sombra, as her bubbles cleanse all of Sombra's abilities. She still isn't necessarily a hard Sombra counter, as she doesn't provide any way to pin Sombra down and kill her outside of Grav, but she can make it hard for you to dive her supports or DPS by providing good peel ability. Your best bet is to force her to use bubbles quickly by using your abilities on her teammates, and then get out without charging her up so that your team can secure a good kill. If she's causing a serious problem for your team, you're probably better off switching to a more direct counter. Ashe. Sombra hunts Ashe down pretty easily. Be wary of her dynamite to spy check, but as long as she doesn't find you, you can probably kill her unless she has a mercy pocket. Even then, if your mechanical skill is good enough, you might be able to secure the kill. If you engage too closely, she'll probably gun you away. You can usually catch her without it coming out of spawn though, and playing closer makes it harder for her to hit her shots, though you can still absolutely kill her from mid-range if she does coach gun. Try to prey on her from high ground, that way she can't run from you by launching herself onto it. Hack doesn't deny her base kit anything, but it does completely shut down Bob. However, Bob will shoot at you if you try to hack him, so make sure he's shooting at someone else before you try to hack him, such as if Ash has hit someone, that way it doesn't get interrupted by shooting at you instead, or hack him as he's charging out. On Ash, you just want to virus when you 1v1 her. Bastion. Bastion can be either very easy or very hard to kill. He tends to take up a lot of support from allies, but in 1v1s he can be very simple to gun down because he has a big hitbox. In lower ranks you can typically just virus him and shoot him to death, especially in a 1v1. If he tends to turret, you can virus, immediately hack, and then shoot to deny him turret before he's low enough for you to kill him anyway. Just be careful to dodge his grenade, it does a lot of damage. If he still gets his turret off, you can translocate to the other side of him to secure the kill, since he usually turrets when he gets low health. Cassidy. Cassidy is one of the best Sombra counters, but at low ranks you can usually kill him anyway. You'll want to just virus and shoot him, as Hack doesn't deny anything from his base kit, so be sure to AD strafe and crouch spam as you shoot at him. His grenade will stop you from translocating, so be very careful to avoid it when possible. You can also hack him out of his ult, so if you see him starting to take a route up to high ground, try to follow behind him so that you can deny it. Most Cassidys will throw their grenades immediately when they see you, so you can dodge it by translocating as soon as he looks directly at you. Echo. Echo's predictable flight patterns make it easy to kill her with a virus and shooting. There's not much point to hacking, as it won't stop her flight or any of her abilities, but you can still kill her easily as long as your mechanical skill is decent. If she lands her sticky bombs on you, you can just translocate out of them and be fine. Her beam is her biggest threat to you though, so be sure not to engage her when you're missing any health. Genji. A really good Genji can be very hard to kill, but luckily all you have to do is hack him while he deflects and then virus and shoot. If you're 1v1ing him, definitely try to shoot him first to bait out his deflect and then hack him out of it, unless he dashes you, at which point he has to cancel his deflect anyway. Your hack can also make it easier to avoid or kill him during his blade, so your first priority when he ults should be translocating out of the dash and then hack or EMP him as soon as you get the chance. Blade can secure a lot of kills, so it's worth a solo EMP if you think your team will die to him. Hanzo. Hanzo is Sombra's biggest counter, and it's not even close. A really good Hanzo you'll want to avoid because you can't deny him anything with your hack or EMP, and most of the time he'll just kill you or put a sonic arrow up that denies you the area it's in. At the middle ranks though, you can usually take him on in a 1v1 as long as you virus and shoot from behind him. Just be very careful because he can one-shot you before you get the chance to get away. Most lower rank Hanzos will immediately panic and storm arrow though, which at least gives you the opportunity to translocate away if your health gets too low for comfort, since it does less damage than a normal arrow. If you're playing in higher ranks where Hanzos reliably hit shots, you only want to engage him typically if a teammate is helping you. Junkrat. Even at my rank, people seem to think Junkrat is a Sombra counter. In reality, as long as you play from mid-range and keep your eye out for traps, you'll be fine. You can kill Junk pretty easily that way. Don't take fights with him in enclosed spaces like hallways or rooms, and instead always fight him out in the open. You can just virus shoot him. Junkrat players tend to hide in rooms for their ults, so you can follow him in and hack him during the startup animation for his tire and cancel his ult entirely. If you miss that, you should always go in and find him during his tire and secure the easy kill. Just be fast in leaving, because he can turn that tire right around like an angry soccer mom's minivan full of kids and get you right back. Mei. Mei is an interesting case. As long as you play out of range of her primary fire, you'll probably be okay. You can shoot her until she uses her ice block, and then virus as she leaves it and shoot her some more. Hack doesn't do anything to her abilities, but EMP clears her ult, so it's worth saving it up to save your teammates from her ult if they can't escape it as easily, especially when overtime is coming up. If she reliably hits her right-click icicles, you should avoid trying to 1v1 her because they tend to do quite a bit of damage. Pharah. Pharah is another one that people think counters Sombra, but in truth she only counters Sombra if she has a pocket mercy. Without one, you can just hack her down to the ground, virus her, and shoot her to death fairly easily. If she's flying predictably, you don't even have to hack her if you can still land the virus. Most Pharah players won't hit every direct rocket on you, giving you plenty of time to kill her before she can kill you. If she has a pocket, however, you'll usually want to kill the pocket first because it'll be hard to kill her through it. Pocket mercies make Pharah a much harder matchup for Sombra, so if you can secure the kill on either her or the mercy, you want to spawn camp them as much as possible to keep the two of them separated. Reaper. You don't want to take close fights with Reaper because he does a lot of damage up close. Instead, you want to fight him from mid-range. Shoot him first to force out his Wraith, and then virus and shoot until he dies. If he Wraiths into your team, translocate away, and prepare to hack immediately, or EMP him the moment he comes out of it, because he's probably going to ult and he does a lot of damage from very quickly, from far enough away that he'll cancel your hack if you're even a little bit too close to him. Sojourn. 1v1ing a Sojourn is fairly easy since her railgun takes time to charge up. Just virus shoot her. There isn't really any kind of special tips to give on her. Just try to avoid fighting her during her ult because she'll kill you pretty easily even if it's just with body shots. Killing a Sojourn mostly relies on your element of surprise combined with who has the better aim. Soldier 76. Soldier is pretty easy to fight in a 1v1. You want to wait until he uses his rockets to engage, at which point you can just virus shoot him to death through his healing field as long as you're strafing. Don't engage him during his ult unless you know he's already low HP or your whole team is there because he'll usually shoot at you first. Sombra. The mirror matchup isn't as hard as it seems. Sombras always want to go for the enemy supports, and so you'll just stand behind your supports and wait for her to try to engage them, at which point you'll instantly hack, virus, and shoot her. She may translocate away, and that's fine. If she keeps doing it, just rinse and repeat. If she plays with her own team, you can play with yours on the front lines, but be careful about trying to dive the enemy supports with her around. Also, be sure to hack all health packs that are close to the fight, and renew those before they run out to make things extra annoying for her. Just be super petty, it works. Keep an eye on your EMP and know when it gets close to full that she will probably have EMP too. Symmetra. I don't have any tips against Symmetra beyond just virus shooting her and trying to stay out of range of her beam and turrets when you fight her. They don't detect you while you're invisible, but they can prevent you from going back to invisibility after you're out. EMP hacks them and removes her ult, so it negates a lot of her utility in a fight. Usually if you strafe when you fight her, you can do more damage than she can get with her level 1 beam, and your hitbox is pretty small, so it's usually easier for you to kill her than it is for her to kill you. Torbjorn. As long as you hack the turret and land your virus on him, you'll probably be fine. He'll definitely expend his E on fighting you, and that's okay, you can just gun him down. Just be sure to kill the turret after he's dead so it doesn't come back up and make things annoying for you. This matchup is way more annoying with ERE's healing pylon or a bastion, so don't be afraid to switch if it's hard to secure the kill on him. Tracer. Tracer is an interesting one. If you can, hacking and then virus and shooting her can kill her quickly enough that she won't be able to recall. If your mechanical skill isn't quite there enough to do that yet, you can shoot at her until she's forced to recall and then virus and shoot her. You can hack her by timing it between reloads to make it easier. If she sticks you with a pulse bomb, you can just translocate out of it too. Be careful though, because a good tracer will be able to chase you down if you try to get away easier than most characters would. Widowmaker. Sombra is one of Widow's best counters. Try to stand to the side of her and just shoot. It's a little bit easier than standing behind and trying to shoot her in the head. Most Widows won't react in time to turn to you, and supports will only react that quickly and save her at higher ranks, which is why virusing her will give them more time to react to help her. She's also a prime spawn camp target, at which point you can virus shoot if you want when she doesn't have anyone to help her. That way, even if she lands a headshot on you, virus will still usually secure the kill. Baptiste. You should generally try to virus, then hack, then shoot Baptiste. This allows you to do enough damage quickly enough to deny him use of his abilities, which he'll usually only use when he gets to low health, meaning he'll be busy trying to turn to shoot you as you hack him instead of immediately reacting by using a cooldown. This makes him a prime spawn camp target. Also, your EMP can cancel his window and his lamp, so it's worth using on it. If he immediately uses his shift or his immortality field when you engage on him, just disengage and come back in to do it again when your cooldowns are up. Even if you just wait and bait out his abilities, it's worth it because it means he won't have as much survivability in the team fight. Brigitte. Brig can either be really easy to fight against or really hard. At lower ranks, most Brigs will play like a mini Reinhardt, but you can hack, virus, shoot to burn down her health quickly enough. Try to play out of her melee range so that you don't trigger her self-healing. It can be harder to play against her at higher ranks because she'll play as a protector of the other support, which just means that she'll be getting consistent healing, making her harder to fight. If she's playing like that, your best bet is to switch to something else or focus DPS instead. If you get whip shot, you should disengage and try again when Virus comes back off of cooldown, but she'll usually use this ability right after the ability lockout is done if you're playing too far for her to melee, so you can sidestep it if you time it right or translocate to the other side of her to finish the kill once her shield comes back up. Ana. Ana is both one of the tougher and easier matchups. You need to fight from far enough away that she has to decide whether to use her grenade on you or herself. You can just fire shoot her immediately, but most Anas will immediately go for the sleep dart on you, so you can translocate after she turns to you or the instant you hear the sound cue for it so that you can avoid it. If you get hit with that sleep, you're usually as good as dead, so it's very important to avoid getting slept. Despite the danger, she should be one of your main targets, as she has a ton of sway in a team fight. Iari. Iari is one of the harder characters to play against because of her damage potential and healing output. You should always hack the pylon, that way she isn't tankier than other supports, and then virus and shoot and hope your mechanical skill is better than hers. She's hard to fight against when she can land her shots, so just try to deny her high ground and always hack her as soon as you see her ult. She's not really worth trying to engage in a team fight unless other people are shooting at her because her pylon will make it really hard to secure a kill on her, especially if she has a Tor, Brig, or other character protecting her or generally making it hard to dive. When she ults, you want to hack her as soon as you can to either cancel her ult or just bring her back down to the ground. Kiriko. Kiriko is Sombra's biggest counter other than Hanzo. Everything she does counters you. You're best off just trying not to 1v1 her, but if you see her use her Suzu, you can virus her to force her to teleport and have no cooldowns. You should pretty much always wait to EMP until after she uses Suzu, unless the team is too spread apart for her to Suzu everyone, because that's what she's immediately going to do once the ability lockout wears off. Good luck. You can also virus her to force out Suzu if you know your team wants to use an ult that she would counter, such as Shatter or Junker Queen's ult. If it's lower ranks, you can usually kill her, but be aware that it doesn't really matter when you hit a virus on her because she has multiple cleanses for herself to escape from you. All you can really do is force her to use her cooldowns and then try to burn her down. Lucio. Lucio is an easy kill if you hack, virus, shoot him. Hack cancels his songs and his wall riding, making him easy to catch at that point. Just make sure to save EMP until after he uses his ult, because although it used to, it doesn't cancel it anymore, and his ult will deny you kills on any low HP targets at the end of an EMP's ability lockout. You also want to engage him from mid-range so that he can't just boop you away to interrupt your hack. Life Weaver. Weaver is pretty simple to 1v1. Just virus shoot him until he uses his cooldowns, then hack the pedal out of the air and finish him off. You should wait to use EMP until after his tree is gone, and be wary of him gripping any character that you're diving away from you. Mercy. Usually you can get away with just virus shooting Mercy, and she's a super easy spawn camp target. Good Mercies will usually get away though, so you can hack, virus, shoot for a better shot at killing her. She's always worth solo EMPing just to kill her and spawn camp her until your team wins a team fight on their own. Remember, her role as a support is more important than yours as a DPS, and so it's incredibly important to deny her the ability to fulfill it. Also, anytime someone dies and you see she's still alive, you want to do everything in your power to deny her res. She will almost always go for it in lower ranks, but hack is one of the easiest ways to deny it, and if all goes well, you might be able to get a kill out of it too. Moira. Moira has a lot of survivability, so you'll want to wait until after she fades to virus her. Don't bother hacking, she'll just fade out of the hack and cleanse whatever virus you put on her if you don't wait. If your mechanical aim is good enough, you can usually kill her in a 1v1 if you Valiander your virus on her. Always be sure to be on high ground or behind her when she ults though, so that you can hack her out of it before she can react and use it on you to prevent you from cancelling it. You can also translocate above her to usually get a hack off before she can stop you. Just be careful to hack the right target because it can be easy to get the wrong person in the middle of a chaotic teamfight. Zenyatta, Sombra's easiest pickings. Zenyatta is your dream enemy. He has no mobility, making him almost defenseless against you. There's no point hacking him, just virus and shoot away. Most of the time you'll be able to kill him very quickly unless he gets a lucky headshot on you. Save EMP until after he uses Transcendence, or kill him immediately when you EMP. You can usually bait it out by bullying him a bit until he's about to die, and then EMP his whole team as soon as it ends. It's always a good idea if you are going to EMP to hit your virus first so that you can kill him quickly without having to hit him too much more. So in conclusion, that's pretty much all I got for a general guide like this. I'm going to make my ending short and sweet, but you're welcome to ask any questions you might have in the comments or in my Twitch chat at twitch.tv/sinopa_OW, as well as my Discord server, which will have a link in the description as well. With that, I bid you all good luck, and have fun playing Sombra!